On the last episode of the Shaka for One and the Million.
Reparations. Do you think we as black folks should be getting reparations? By that, I mean ADOS. Can't go to Haiti, help them fight and get reparations. You can't go to Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, the Bahamas, help them fight for reparations. Here's a few people who owe us reparations.
Now, the other thing is we also have to establish the point that we need to be compensated for. And this is going to be an important thing because I want you all to understand they have been working around the clock. Even the scholars who claim that they support reparations, I'm telling y'all they got it wrong because we're not doing the calculation correctly. Most of the scholars I've seen have been counting from 1865 forward. And that's wrong. Your ancestors didn't go into slavery in 1865 or 1860. We need to count back all the way to when this thing began. You are not owed for 160 years. You are owed for somewhere closer to 460 years, and we're not going to let them short us on the time. We got to go all the way back. You owe me for 460 years and you gonna short me 300 years. No, got to go all the way back from the beginning. You don't get to short the time. You're gonna pay every dime. You don't owe me for 150 years. You owe me for closer to 450. All I got to do is validate we were here. You owe me for 450. Now we got to go on to something else because there are damages to be added up into this. Oh, yes, we are going 720 degrees because if your great-great-great-great-grandfather worked himself to death and died on the plantation, that's wrongful death. It's not just murder, it is also wrongful death. So you gotta compensate me for wrongful death. If you worked him to death, you owe me for his death. Cut the check.
Now, what they say the wealth of America was and is based on the economic exploitation of the descendants of American slaves. Black people are in the streets because police violence, white supremacist terrorism, and institutional racism are all in place as a means to ensure prosperity for white folk and subjugation of black people. Now, what's been said is they hate you because you black, they abuse you because you're poor. Again, black people just want to give you their vote, but don't want to donate any money and wonder why there's no one there to help us. The poverty that we experience is systemic and engineered. It's not accidental. People say, why can't black folk get their thing together? Let me ask you something, Hispanics. Did the white people ever come in and burn down your communities? Asian people? Arab people? Italians? Did they ever come in and destroy everything you and your people ever built? They did that to us years ago, centuries ago. And that's why we are where we are. Without addressing these issues of reparations, the society itself will fall into total chaos as the bait and switch tactics of deflect and distract now no longer deceive the black population. What do you think would happen to this economy if 40 million black people pulled out? But we have no unity. The guy who was over the FBI told a reporter that back in 1958. J. Edgar Hoover. Reporter asked him, what do you think's the biggest threat to America? J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest threat to America is the unification of the black man. We have to stop that at all costs. Now, we require reparations across the board to correct these evils, while only the descendants of American slaves are eligible for reparations. Steps to dismantle systemic white supremacy and stop white supremacist violence is the right of all melanated people. Again, you can't come here for somewhere else, and just because someone was racist to you, you get reparations. Our people fought and died for your people to be able to come here to begin with. Now, reparations are not just financial. I think the primary thing we need, and I discussed this on last week's program, the number one thing we need as black folk is mental health care. As I've told you before, that little white kid in school, some little kid gets killed or whatever, they get mental health. They didn't even know the kid. Everything with white people is mental health. Every time they kill someone or whatever they do, oh, well, he has mental issues. How are you people in charge and so many of you have mental issues? But reparations are not just financial. We require educational reparations to correct the crimes America's schools commit against black children. We require judicial reparations for past crimes, such as the killing of Emmett Till and Trayvon Martin, still walking free. That white woman admitted before she died that she lied on Emmett Till. As well as ongoing crimes of the white supremacist court system. It's domestic terrorism, fam. Why don't we have mental health? Now, here are 7 things that we require for reparations. The agenda must address black people and only black people, not the Indians, not the Hispanics, not the Cubans. Any discussion of addressing black people's needs must focus solely on black folk. While that seems obvious, the problem is government and media have embarked on a campaign to detour all efforts to focus on black people by diverting attention away from black folk and putting on trick words like people of color and minorities. You know, the shit you niggas keep falling for. You are people of color. You are minority. I'm ADOS or FBA. Either one. Where's your 3-time great, your 5-time great grandparents buried at? Because minorities could also mean white women, gays, white identifying Latinos. And that strategy is to deny black folks their resources. Number 2, black society's top priority is economic empowerment. The reason white folk don't want to give you reparations because you, as a ADOS person, if you were to come into power, they feel you would seek retribution for what they done to you and your people. Virtually all of black America's ills can be traced directly back to lack of economic resources. That's what white folk fear. Genetic annihilation and us seeking retribution against what they done to us. We just want to live peacefully with the land like every other culture on the planet. Number 3, make dismantling of systemic white supremacy public policy. See, they vet these other blacks that come in here from Africa and whatnot. Don't get with the black people. Don't do anything to help them. Same thing when you reach a certain level like Oprah. Why couldn't Oprah build her school here in America bad as black folk need a school? Because you're not allowed to. I don't know if it's the Illuminati or whatever they have going on. You're not allowed to help your people. The tradition of America is to practice white supremacy while pretending that white supremacy doesn't exist. That's the greatest trick that white folk ever pulled off, convincing your ass that white supremacy does not exist. Number 4, white supremacy and police violence is a human rights violation. Do you know that we as a black people are not a protected group like the Indians and the gays? Sad, huh? We were here long before all these people except the Indians, and they want to talk about, well, we're all immigrants. No, we're not. ADOS is the only group of people in America that did not immigrate here. We were stolen and kidnapped and brought here. So you're not an immigrant. When China or countries in the Middle East have police execute people based on their race, ethnicity, or political ideology, the United States calls those human rights violations, and the United States has invaded countries for that offense. So when you have systemic racial practices, it demands systemic remedies. Number 5, schools can no longer be weaponized against black children. Schools, both public and private, operate on a standard practice of targeting black children. They always getting expelled or suspended because white teachers don't know how to deal with young black children, particularly young black boys. Kid doesn't have AADs, just got a lot of energy. You know how my parents dealt with ADD? It was called the belt. Okay, we didn't take no damn pills. Wasn't no pills to take. The tests that are set up are white-based. And they target our children from as early as Head Start and start removing them from the classroom. I want to claim the kid has a learning disability or a disciplinary problem. And there are only 3 solutions to that problem. Put the child in special education to handicap his learning, put him on psycho drugs to alter his brain chemistry, or have him suspended from school or even arrested. I remember they arrested a little 5-year-old girl. They arrested some little kids for fighting on the playground a couple of weeks ago. Little white kid called the kid nigger. Got his ass handed to him. But you walk right past the little white kid who instigated it, and you arrest the little black children. It's fighting on the playground. It's been happening since the dawn of mankind. Number 6 of reparations across the board. Remove the prisons, monuments, and physical institutions of white supremacy. White folk always want to slap up. White folk always want to slap up the losers. The losers. You got statues and monuments to niggas who lost. Black people pay taxes, and yet our tax dollars do something to us that doesn't happen to anyone else. We're required to pay for white supremacists to sit in front of our courtrooms, schools, parks, and city halls. We have prisons that are set up primarily to serve as the new plantations in America via the 13th Amendment loophole. In a cruel irony, many states are closing schools but building prisons, and the laws are engineered to facilitate this vicious cycle. Number 7, 20% of public and private contracts should be reserved for black businesses. We've been kept out of everything. You ever drive by and notice the guys working on the street or in construction? That used to be us. Now it's the Hispanics who run all that. See, a lot of jobs we got away from, raising your children, cleaning your home, cooking for you, it trickled down to the Hispanics. Now it's the Filipinos that babysit your children and whatnot. White folk always looking for free labor, free or cheap labor. Call us lazy, but your ass traveled halfway around the globe to come get us to do the work with your lazy ass. 20% of public and private contracts should be reserved for black business. America has done business strictly along ethnic lines for centuries. It has embarked on a sustained campaign of bombing black business districts like Black Wall Street, as well as using racial regulations to target black businesses today for destruction. It's always harder for us. It's always harder for us. But that is what that is. Never average, never mediocre. Online, on point, and on the freaking money, man.
Tune in every week at 10 a.m. for the Shaka 41 and the main event. Only on the new PushGapRadio.com.